The Royals avoided disaster tonight with a much-needed walk-off win against, at least record-wise, the worst team in baseball. We'll dive into it next on Locked On Royals.
You are Locked On Royals, your daily Kansas City Royals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Locked On Royals on the Locked On Podcast Network. As always, I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter or X at JohnnyJ_15. That's at JOHNYJ_15. You can also catch us on wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Odyssey, and YouTube. Just be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe. For you first-time listeners, we bring you episodes Monday through Friday, always after the game occurs. Now, I know that doesn't work for everybody out there, but when I took that poll, we had about 99% in favor of doing the later episodes after the game. So I'm a man of the people here. So we'll be bringing you these episodes after the game, but just know that sometimes it's going to be closer to midnight, sometimes a little bit after midnight, but we will be talking about the game that just occurred instead of waiting till the next day to give you our thoughts on it. We also bring you 60-second recaps after the game as well. Just posted that one before I started recording this podcast. So a lot of Royals content throughout the season, Monday through Friday, and we will bring you those 60-second recaps into the weekend as well. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So get started today with a very fun betting app, as we all know, in FanDuel. You got baseball going on, hockey playoffs, and the NBA playoffs. So much going on. Get started today at FanDuel. Let's talk about it. The Royals do grab their 10th win of the season. It certainly wasn't pretty, but I can tell you that the feeling among the fan base would have been dire if they lost tonight's game in the way that we all thought it was going to happen in the bottom of the ninth. I mean, you get an excellent performance from Kris Bubic. You see Lucas Erceg back on the mound. And no, the offense was not good. Up until the eighth inning, the only one to collect a hit that left the infield was Drew Waters. He had homered, he had tripled, he had doubled, and the other two hits you had were a bunt single by Michael Garcia, a bunt single by Kyle Isbell, and an infield single from Bobby Witt Jr. Like, that's what you had offensively. And if it was going to result in a 2-0 win, you're still frustrated about the offense, but the pitching, overshadows that. How good Bubic was. Seeing Erceg back out there. And Carlos Estevez, after what he did on Sunday, which was go 2 innings and hold down the fort in extra innings, he goes out there tonight, gets 2 outs in less than 10 pitches, and for whatever reason, just completely loses the feel of the zone. He walks 3 consecutive guys, and when Jacob Stallings, on a 1-2 count, rips one down the line, and you see the third Colorado runner come around to score, man, the pit in my stomach that I had, not that it's a playoff-like atmosphere or playoff-like game in April, but we all have to acknowledge that losing a game like that to a 4-win Colorado team would be simply unacceptable, especially with how the road trip went, going 2-8. To blow a 2-0 lead with a team that can't score, and your closer on the bump, who had a sub-1 ERA, had a 85+% success rate so far in the season, and closing out games actually might have been higher than that. Like, Carlos Estevez, despite not having the best stuff, he had gotten results. And tonight, it almost felt like it was payback for some of those times where he really danced with danger, but he was able to get that final out. Tonight, it was a backup catcher that was able to rip one down the line. But credit where credit's due. This team, with the way they had been playing, they could have closed up shop and said, well, we had a good 8 innings. We had 2 runs. That should be enough for our closer, and he's the one that blew it. And we're not going to be pointing any fingers here, but oh well, let's get him tomorrow. And Salvador Perez comes up, bloops one to right. Michael Garcia scorches one to the wall in left field. And even though they didn't win the game there, they at least got a productive 2-strike at bat from Michael Massey to drive in the tying run. Garcia then has a bit of a toot bland on second base, getting caught in a rundown. And then you go to extra innings. John Schreiber, he battles command as well. That was the odd part about it. Chris Bubich didn't walk anybody. Lucas Erceg didn't walk anybody. And then with 2 outs, Estevez walks 3, Schreiber walks 2, and then you have Lynch walk 1 in the 11th inning. So 6 walks after you didn't have any walks in 8 innings. And it's not as simple against a bad team as, well, just throw it down the middle. They're not going to hit it. But damn. I mean, you felt in that 3-batter stretch in the 9th inning, if Estevez would have said, here's 96, 97, one of those guys would have just popped it up or grounded out or hit it hard at somebody and you're done. But the resiliency in extra innings was important. And whether they won 2-0 or 4-3 like they did tonight, thanks to the night Drew Waters had and Freddy Fermin backpicking somebody in the 10th inning when it was 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, then having the game-winning hit. To win that game, the result's the same. And when you look back on April, you will see that they beat Tarek Skubal on Sunday and they walked it off on game 1 against Colorado. If they come out tonight, we've talked about this before on the podcast. If they come out tomorrow night and handle the Rockies with ease, maybe you look back to this game as the one that got them going a little bit. Maybe got the offense going, maybe got the confidence back up. But the goal of this series is to sweep the Rockies. And you couldn't have done it if you didn't rally in the 9th inning or you didn't get big plays from Freddy Fermin and John Schreiber to make big pitches when it mattered. Daniel Lynch to work out of a 1st and 2nd and nobody out. Like, if you don't get those performances, we are having a somber episode tonight. I mean, it would have been depressing as hell to talk about a 9-15 team that had just blown a game against a 4-win Colorado team, which, be honest, I'm not trying to make fun of Colorado. I do feel for the fan base that it feels the front office and ownership have let them down for last handful of years. I mean, they made the postseason in 2019, and they haven't done really anything since. Like, and they've had some really bad teams, and they've got fun young prospects to talk about, Zach Veen being one of them. But for a lot of Royals fans tonight, you weren't familiar with 70% of that lineup. So to lose that game tonight, you know, I know Colorado won on Sunday against Washington, and their bullpen and their last 10 games actually has a sub-2 ERA. But Colorado's offense ain't scoring, and their pitching isn't stopping anybody. Like, you've got a team that is bottom of the league in both categories. So it's presented the Royals with an opportunity to beat up on them a little bit. And tonight, they had to work for it. But that's just the way things are right now. And what can get you out of a hole is knowing that while you're not playing your best baseball, you're still keeping that head above water. This could all be a moot point in tomorrow night's episode. I'll be out at Kauffman Stadium. I'll be in the clubhouse afterward, and then I'll be getting my butt back here to record. And we may be talking about a loss. That's just the reality of baseball. I can't make the prediction even against bad teams and say, well, they're going to win. Because right now the Royals are 10-14. It's not a great record. But they've gained a little bit of ground in the Central. The Guardians are playing well against the Yankees. The Tigers took game 1 against San Diego, but lost game 2 tonight. And here they are at 10-14, still have yet to score over 4 runs in now 16 games, 17 games, I believe it is. But you're 10-14. I wouldn't say that's keeping your head above water, but you're not that far from the surface. So if you win tomorrow and Cleveland and Detroit lose, you're 3.5 back. And then you try to go take game 3 on Thursday afternoon with Cole Reagans on the bump. Like Ryan Feltner, I tip my cap. I'll always acknowledge when an opposing pitcher does well. He is the best Colorado has to offer in their rotation. And I'm not trying to make excuses for the offense. Even the best Colorado has to offer should have been someone this Royals lineup pounced on. But tomorrow, you get German Marquez, and Michael Lorenzen will be on the bump. Marquez is an 8.27 ERA. He's lost 3 starts this year. And then they'll see Chase Dolander, a young prospect for him, a 7.36 ERA. Like, it's lining up for you now to sweep Colorado. And if you sweep Colorado, you are 12-14 going into that Friday night matchup against the Houston Astros, who are now above 500 after their win tonight. So it's not pretty. And I'm not going to, champion a walk-off win when this is how it looked. But when you look back on April, we're not talking about, oh, remember how ugly it was? No, hopefully you'll be looking at this game as the spark. We've been talking episode after episode about sparks. Where can they find it? Was it beating Scooble? Was it winning Game 3 in Cleveland? Was it winning back-to-back series against Baltimore and Minnesota? What was it going to be? Maybe tonight was the one because they had to rally in the ninth. By their own doing, because they blew it in the top of the ninth. But I would say that, it's all about what you do after this. And if I go out there tomorrow and they lose that game 6-2, clearly that game meant nothing. And there are some serious issues going on with this team. But if they win comfortably, as they should against a 4-18 baseball team, now you're just inching closer and closer to 500. And maybe you'll see that confidence exuding from some of the guys that desperately need it right now. Okay, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, after tonight's collapse by Carlos Estevez and how Lucas Erceg looked yet again, should we have a conversation about the closer's role, or is it just a one-off, one bad outing from somebody you're going to be counting on to get the final 3 outs of the game? We'll talk about that next on Locked On Royals. You are tuned into Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter or X at JohnnyJ_15. Want to give a shout out to the title sponsor today in FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and you place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And FanDuel makes it incredibly easy for you, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into players' props. From 3-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into the same game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out and head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. For my pick, I'll look to tomorrow. I feel we're going to have a big game from Bobby Witt Jr. Was a little bit silent tonight, but I will take the over on hits for him against German Marquez. The headliner of tonight's episode would have been about Carlos Estevez if the Royals lost this game. And I would say up until tonight, you would give the signing a B+. Like, the numbers were good. He didn't give you that full confidence just yet. Like, we can be honest and say that the first couple outings for Carlos Estevez had been pretty shaky. Like, he's walking 2 guys, he's dealing with a lot of base runners, but he always gets out of it. And would I like that from my closer? Not really. But if you are still locking down the save at the end of the year, I'm going to look at your number of saves and, more importantly, your number of save opportunities. And going into tonight, Estevez had blown 1 save. And I would put an asterisk next to it because the blown save that he had was in extra innings against Milwaukee, where you have the ghost runner and he was protecting a 1-run lead. So that run is unearned. It's still a blown save, which is unfortunate for closers and their numbers. But the 1 save he had blown was the ghost runner rule. So technically, in the clean innings, when he had taken them out in the 9th inning, he had been flawless, 100%. And tonight, if there was any matchup, and I don't believe there will be an easier matchup this year, not even the Chicago White Sox. Like, if there was one matchup For Carlos Estevez to go out there and just let it eat. 97, 98, you are attacking the zone. Challenge him. Make him hit you. Right? That's the only way that Colorado is, or excuse me, him walking Colorado's hitters. I was losing my train of thought there. But him walking those hitters, that was the only way they were going to be able to do damage, in my opinion. It is no disrespect to who they were sending up. But Carlos Estevez is an established closer. He was the closer for a damn good Philadelphia team in the postseason last year. He, of course, is remembered for giving up the grand slam to Francisco Lindor in the game that the Phillies were ultimately eliminated. But still, good numbers with the Angels. He is a former Rocky, actually. And he had pitched for Philadelphia. The numbers are there. And for a lot of the guys that Colorado was sending to the plate, they're not ones you need to work around in the same way you did with, Kerry Carpenter in Detroit, or Riley Green, or Spencer Torkelson, or when they face Cleveland, Jose Ramirez. Like, I go to that series in Cleveland when Carlos Estevez has to get through Steven Kwan, Jose Ramirez, Carlos Santana, and Kyle Manzardo. Like, those are the four guys he had to go through. And, oh, by the way, he gave up a leadoff single to Steven Kwan, but struck out Ramirez, then struck out Santana, then struck out Manzardo. Like, this Colorado team, as I said to open up the show, you don't just go out there and say, I'm giving you 98 down the middle. I dare you to hit it, because big league hitters will. If you've got a straight fastball and you're just throwing it down the middle, they're going to connect on it. Even if you don't know the guy's name or they're hitting a $140, they can hit it. They're in the big leagues for a reason. But when things started to spiral a little bit, you could tell that he wasn't as comfortable in the zone. And the reason being, after he had walked, I want to say Ryan McMahon. That might be the guy I'm thinking of here. Want to say he walked Ryan McMahon, and then he walked Goodman, and then he walked Tolia. And then that loaded the bases for Jacob Stallings. Like, you walk Ryan McMahon. I understand that you feel one bad mistake and this game is tied. But as I feel every baseball person feels this way, whether you're a fan, a player, or a coach, it's much better to blow the save and keep that game tied than continue to make mistakes and now you leave trailing. Like, that's the nightmare scenario. To enter the game in the ninth with the lead and you leave down by a run or two or even worse than that. But you walk Ryan McMahon and then you walk Goodman, and he did lead the Rockies in home runs, Hunter Goodman, that is. He had 13 home runs last year. He also hit 190. And this year he's got 3 bombs. He's OPSing at 745. It could happen. And Michael Tolia, he had homered against the Dodgers in their series, I want to say 2 series ago, right before they took on the Nationals at home. But of those 3 guys, like, you make the mistake to Ryan McMahon, and the broadcast had brought it up that 50% of his at-bats end in a home run, strikeout, or a walk. But right now, it's just a whole lot of striking out. And that number was the highest in baseball, that 50%. Still, you lose him there. Okay. Tying run is at the plate. Got to bear down here. You're also not playing in a bandbox. Like, if you were to go back and do it again, does Carlos Estevez attack Goodman much differently? I understand being timid against Tolia. We have seen Tolia go yard not too long ago. He crushed a grand slam, I want to say, or a 3-run home run. He had 25 home runs last year. Like, you've got somebody that has legitimate power. And, if he runs into one, you no longer have the lead. It ended up happening anyway. But in the way you attack Goodman, that's what I go back to. You leave one up to Goodman, he crushes it, and he homers a tie game. Yeah, you blew the save. But to walk McMahon, and then to walk Goodman, and then to walk Tolia on 4 pitches, that's when you're going, man, can you even leave one down the middle now? Jacob Stallings is not a power hitter, and he was hitting sub 150 before that at bat. But a 1-2 pitch, I mean, that goes back to my point. Big league hitters can do some damage. We know that. It doesn't matter if they're not hitting well. MJ Melendez homered off Max Fried. You think Max Fried thought he was going to homer off him in that spot? No, he made a bad pitch. MJ Melendez crushed it. We've seen Hunter Renfroe punish some mistakes, and Jacob Stallings punished a mistake. The big question becomes, though, does this change my opinion of Carlos Estevez? I am going to need to see him out pretty soon. And what I mean out by, I mean out on the mound again soon, not out of the closer's role. I guess that was kind of misleading. Like, I would love, but also at the same time, I wouldn't love it. Like, tomorrow, I hope it's a blowout. I hope it's 9-0, 10-2, where you're not even worrying about it. But I would love to see Carlos Estevez get back out there in the next few days to erase this memory. Every closer will tell you, get me back out there the next night, because I need to erase that blown save. And I'm sure that they've already flushed it, but to have a better perception from the fans, you can still trust me to close out these games. And I've said before, and I'm not going to waver on it after one blown save, Lucas Ursig's best role is the fireman, is the setup guy. But Matt Quatrero and this coaching staff, they're not going to, toy around with it if it's very clear that Ursig needs to be handling the ninth and Estevez can be the setup. Because you still got to bridge the gap. Like, if Carlos Estevez did this in the 8th inning, then there is no save opportunity for Ursig in the 9th inning. But I'm still going to take the sample size here. That going into tonight, he had great numbers. The stuff wasn't where it was last year, but he was having a lot of success. I'm not moving him off the closer's role. I'm not going to make that decision in April. But if it happens again, and it happens against Colorado or against Houston, maybe you do need to give Ursig the next save opportunity until you get Estevez back into more of a routine and get that confidence back up. Okay, we're going to take our final break of the show. When we come back, I want to tip my cap to two of the best performers from tonight's game. That's coming up on Locked On Royals. You are tuned into Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson. You can find me on Twitter or X at JohnnyJ_15. Our last segment is going to be dedicating to tipping the cap to two guys the Royals couldn't have won without tonight. We'll start with Drew Waters here. And Drew Waters is somebody that, if you've listened to this podcast long enough, I haven't always been the biggest believer. I thought the swing and miss was just too glaring in AAA and at the big league level that it just wasn't going to work out. But he is a switch hitter. He's got legitimate power. We saw that on display tonight with the home run in the 6th inning to put Kansas City up 1-0. He had the great opposite field single to actually notch the Royals' first hit of the night. He has the triple in the 8th inning that sets up the second run for the Royals. So he was providing everything for the Royals' offense tonight. And I want to say that, it was maybe the broadcast, or maybe I'm, misconstruing that with a couple of text strings I was on. But you can see a more comfortable Drew Waters at the plate. And maybe it is because MJ got optioned and Drew Waters is here to stay for now. And MJ Melendez isn't going to come up anytime soon until he proves that AAA is just not worthy for him. If he goes out there and hits 400, we will see him back pretty soon. But tonight, in his first AAA game, MJ goes 1 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. Drew Waters at the big league level goes 3 for 4 and has a home run and has a single and has a triple. Plays good defense out there. That's going to keep you in the bigs for a while. And that's always been the problem for Drew Waters, is sometimes those ugly stretches, right, where he wasn't doing enough, he didn't have the numbers to back it up and say, well, you got to give me more an opportunity. This time, the Royals gave him the benefit of the doubt and said, well, we're going to send MJ back down. Now prove to us you've made the right choice. And I'm not going to overreact to, 15 to 20 games. But with the way the offense has looked, I absolutely will acknowledge and give praise to somebody that stepped up in a big way tonight. It shouldn't have to be that way against the Rockies, but sometimes it's just the way it happens. And Drew Waters was great tonight. And you can see more of an emphasis to go the other way on those outside pitches. He's had a couple of opposite field swings on both sides of the plate. I go back to the road trip, and he's on a little bit of a hot stretch right now. I don't know if it will last, but as I've said before, when it comes down to this outfield, Isbell, Renfroe, MJ, Biggio, and now Drew Waters, Mark Canha in this as well, you have to just play at a serviceable level until the Royals make a move. And I know Drew Waters is trying to win a job here, and maybe he does. Maybe he is the guy to take Hunter Renfroe's spot or Kyle Isbell or to take over in left field full time, because now he's pretty much in the lineup every single night. And I would expect him to be in the lineup tomorrow night against German Marquez. And if he continues to hit, that's going to be pivotal for him keeping his job in Kansas City. And I never thought he would be the answer, and I'm not going to jump the gun off of a 3-hit night. We saw Kyle Isbell have a 3-hit night and a home run to go with that, but it hasn't really taken off since then. So with the way the outfield has looked, is he the answer, or is he just somebody you go give him the at-bats at least? He's a young outfielder. He's a switch hitter. He's got power. He's got speed. That is more of an upside than what you're getting from your current outfielders. I can see that argument, and we'll see what he does here to close out the month of April. But for now, Drew Waters is here to stay. As for the other hero of tonight's game, Freddy Fermin, and Freddy is probably one of my favorite players on the roster. Not just because of tonight, it's because of how he plays the game, his journey, his story. Being an age prospect, making his debut, and want to say it was 2023, getting more and more opportunities and doing a lot with it. And he understands that he is catching behind an icon in this city. I mean, a easy shoe-in to be a Royals Hall of Famer in Salvador Perez, a World Series champion, a 9-time All-Star, a multiple-time Gold Glover, had a near 50 home run season as a catcher. He understands who he's playing behind. And you've never heard Freddy complain about playing time. You've never heard him take issue with anything involving the lineup, where he's hitting. He even had a game where he led off last year. And we had an episode, I remember, talking about Freddy being a leadoff guy because of his numbers leading off an inning, which he was hitting like 400 at one point. But tonight, it was what he did in a lot of different areas of the game. He comes in to pinch run for Salvi, who led off the 9th inning with the bloop single because Tyler Tolbert had already been put in the game in left field. So you can't pinch run with Tyler Tolbert. He gets to third on Michael Garcia's double and then scores on Michael Massey's sac fly in the 10th inning. Crucial moment. Second and third, one out. He backpicks Mickey Moniak. And you talk about the difficulty of that throw and the riskiness of that throw. Now, the Royals didn't win it in the 10th, but that was a play that absolutely saved him. I had full belief the Rockies were going to score 2 in that inning. With the way it had been set up with the bunt, John Schreiber was all over the place. It felt like one of those, doubles down the line or a bloop into the gap. Somebody dives and misses it, and all of a sudden the Rockies take a 2-run lead, and that's all she wrote. The back pick on that pitch, though, a slider down in the way, a slider, a sweeper, whatever you want to call John Schreiber stuff, down and away, and almost a sidearm flick. And it was placed in an area where only Michael Garcia could get it. He's bending out of the way. And I will say only a spot where he could catch it and just be led into the tag. Sometimes on those throws, third baseman's got to run in, catch it, and place the tag. This was about as perfect as it could be. And I don't believe that Moniak thought that throw was coming at all. I mean, clearly, he didn't even slide. He didn't have time to slide. And that play was huge. You saw the emotion, coming out of Freddy in that point. And then it goes in a few innings later where, you have the intentional walk to Bobby. You have the intentional walk to Vinny. It sets it up for Freddy. It's 0-2. And instead of doing what a lot of Royals hitters have done over the last 20 games, popping it up, swinging over the top of a curveball, He just takes a hanger in the middle of the zone and guides it to center. Does his job. And I believe he has earned a start for tomorrow. We'll see. Right? I thought Mark Canha earned a start based off his performance on Sunday. He only gets into pinch hit late in tonight's game. But what a game for Freddy Fermin. What a game for Drew Waters. Royals survive against the Colorado Rockies. They're 10-14, have won back-to-back games. They'll go for a series win tomorrow with Michael Lorenzen on the bump going up against German Marquez. Well, that'll do it for another edition of Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I've been your host, Jack Johnson. Thank you for making Locked On Royals your first listen today. For your second, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale and find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Tomorrow, I'll be out at Kauffman Stadium. I'll be getting some post-game audio, and I'll be recapping it all in tomorrow's episode. But until then, you take it easy, Kansas City.